find some seats so we can get started with our next session. My name is Andrea Nye. I'm a lifetime learning teacher at the Lifetime Learning Center in St. Catharines, and I have the pleasure of introducing your speaker for your next session. Carol Prentice is best known for her ambition, motivation, and compassion for helping others. She has completed a bachelor's degree in psychology and social work, and is currently a registered social worker. Carol also teaches about the mind-body connection, as she is a certified yoga teacher and emotional freedom technique therapist. She empowers others on a daily basis to begin to create the reality that they truly deserve and desire. So are you ready for no more negative emotions? Yeah. Are you ready to be free? Okay. Your session today is all about finding out how to free yourself from stress, worry, anxiety, fears, frustration, and food cravings. It is time for a new approach. In this life-changing emotional freedom technique EFT workshop, you will learn a simple form of psychological acupressure that will allow you to easily change the way you think and feel in a matter of minutes. This is your chance to learn more about the mind-body connection, the meridian energy system, and how to eliminate negative emotions and feelings by tapping on specific acupressure points. Bring an open mind. And I introduce to you Carol Prentice.
Thank you, Andrea. Welcome, everybody. Hi. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you? I'm better now that I'm here. So I'm pretty excited. Thank you so much all for coming today. If you didn't bring your open mind with you, please go get it and come back. So everybody bring your open mind? Give me a show of hands if you brought your open mind with you. I'm about to teach you one of the strangest things you've probably ever done. And I'm pretty excited about emotional freedom technique. So normally the workshops that I host on EFT, emotional freedom technique, are at least 2 to 3 hours in length minimum to just give you the basic concept. So I'm going to give you the speedy version of that today. But keep in mind, when I'm about to teach you, you'll be able to take home with you today, you'll be able to practice on your own today, and you have your handouts. So it's probably best to just stay tuned into the process and know that you always have your handout. Don't worry about memorizing the acupuncture points I'm about to teach you, because again, they're all in your handouts, and that's what all you're going to need. Okay? And there's no test or quiz or exam. Yeah. If you did have test anxiety and hated writing tests, then I can help you with that as well. So I'm a certified emotional freedom technique therapist. EFT is not my creation. It is the creation of a gentleman by the name of Gary Craig, who's from the States. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. I am a certified yoga instructor and a certified level 2 Reiki therapist. I practice Qigong at a studio that's locally called Qigology. So Qigong is one of the Chinese martial arts. So I've studied a little bit of Chinese medicine as well, and the meridian lines that we're about to talk about. I'm a registered social worker with the Ontario College of Social Workers, and I have my BA in Psych and Social Work. And I'll probably just keep learning. So learning's a process, right? What is EFT? It's a meridian-based therapy with a wide range of applications. So your first thought was probably like, how is this lady going to teach me how to get rid of anxiety, fear, phobia, stress, worry, anxiety, and food cravings? And it's all one technique? And the answer is yes. Because what do all those things have in common? Is that they don't make us feel very good. It's a negative emotion, right? It also works on physical pain and discomfort in the body as well. It's a mind-body, and it connects the mind-body and emotions via the energy system of the body. Now, if you have no idea what your energy system is, I'm not talking about how you feel tired some days and how you feel really awake some days after you have coffee. I'm talking about the energy lines that were studied in ancient Chinese Shaolin Taoist monasteries. The energy system that's in the body. And it's a little different, and it's really hard for me to be able to necessarily show you that today, because that's a whole other course, but that's what we're using today. Has everybody heard of acupuncture? Acupressure? Give me a show of hands. Even heard of acupressure before? Awesome. Pretty quick and easy to learn. It often has permanent results. That's my favorite part. An 80 to 90% success rate. That's my other favorite part. and it works well in conjunction with other therapies. It's a little different than basic conventional psychology because it adds in another component. So in basic psychology, what we understand is that when you have a thought, there's an emotion connected to that. Okay? So if someone has a fear of heights or a fear of public speaking, and that person thinks of the balcony or thinks about getting up in front of the room, what's the feeling that they have?
Pass out.
They're going to pass out. They're so nervous and they're so anxious that they're going to pass out. So traditional psychology would say, okay, well, change your thought and you can change how you feel. Has everybody ever heard that? Just think positive thoughts. And you're like, yeah, that's not working. That's great, but that's not working. So I'm here to tell you why it's not working, because there's a missing component. So if I told that person, if you're afraid of the balcony, just think that everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. Why are you afraid of the balcony? And they think, okay, everything's going to be fine, it's just a balcony. No, that doesn't help. Right? Because their physical body is telling them something different. The energy system that they have in their body is disrupted. So I'm going to teach you how to calm that energy system down over and over and over by tapping these acupuncture points, so the next time that you do think of the balcony, you do feel calm. The next time that you do think about getting up in front of a group of people, you feel okay. Yes? I know, it's pretty cool. So I'm going to scan through this as pretty much as quick as I can. With remarkable consistency, EFT relieves emotional and physical symptoms by a seemingly strange but scientific technique. It is strange. If you've done anything stranger in your life, please come see me afterwards, because I'd love to know about it. The first time I saw this, I was like, you want me to what? But it works. That's all I can say. EFT works by tapping the two fingertips on various energy meridian points. So instead of me taking an acupuncture needle and stabbing you with that needle, it's not a very nice word, but putting that needle in that acupuncture point, we're just going to use two fingers to tap on the acupuncture points instead. Yeah? Sounds good. The tapping serves to balance the energy meridians, which have become disrupted when the client thinks about or becomes involved in an emotionally disturbing circumstance. Okay. The actual memory stays the same, but the emotional charge is gone. Cognition, or your thought process about it, often changes in a healthy direction as a natural consequence of healing. So for example, if you come to me and say, oh, Carol, I'm really angry at my brother, okay. Or you're really angry at your mom, you're really angry at fill in the blank. And I get you to focus on that, and we tap on the acupuncture points that calm you down, and then I say, okay, now go back to that, just say that you're angry at your brother, or say that you're angry at whoever. And because you don't feel that way anymore, because you actually feel calm, the thought doesn't make sense. So you can actually feel compassion for the other person, or see the other person's point of view. Now the memory stays the same. What happened still stays the same, but the way you perceive it and think about it is what shifts. Yeah? Awesome. So by analogy, I want you to think of the energy meridian lines in your body like a river. Upsets or emotional or physical health lead to the equivalent of blockages or overflows in that river. So that river of energy in your body is always supposed to be flowing freely, but we know that it doesn't feel like that some days, right? So I want you to imagine that when you have a negative thought, when you have a negative emotion, it's like taking blocks or taking boulders or taking rocks and throwing them in that river. And then what happens? There becomes an excess amount of water at one end of the river and a deficiency amount of water at the other end. Yes? So if that's the energy in your body, and you're blocking that energy by your negative thought that causes that disruption in the energy system, you've got excess energy at one point and a deficiency of energy in the other, which sometimes leads, those negative emotions can eventually lead to physical health problems as well. That's why EFT also works on physical health issues. So EFT is a mind-body healing technique because it combines the physical effects of meridian treatments with the mental effects of focusing on the pain of the problem at the same time. Tapping on the meridian points sends the kinetic energy down the energy system, clearing those blockages, moving those rocks and boulders out of the way, allowing the energy to flow freely again. Here's a picture of your energy line in your body. Now, most of you probably won't be able to feel them. If you came with me to practice yoga or Qigong or Tai Chi for probably about 6 to 8 weeks or maybe even more, I'd be able to show you how you can feel that in your physical body. First and foremost, it would actually be felt in your hands. But for some people, has anybody ever felt that, done Tai Chi or Qigong and be able to feel that? Yes, I'm the only one. That's great. Okay, so that's, again, this is a whole other, you could go to China, and the gentleman that I work with doing Qigong here in St. Catharines has actually gone to China and studied for 10 years, and he's my teacher in terms of understanding all these energy systems in the body and how to let them flow freely again. So EFT comes with the general field of energy psychology. There's a lot of other energy psychology techniques that are out there right now, one of them being thought field therapy. and other acupressure techniques. They base themselves on the principle of using the mind to tune into and connect to the problem, and then they treat the energy system to clear the problem. So it actually EFT has its origins back to about 5,000 years ago in the ancient Chinese Shaolin and Taoist monasteries, where the subtle energies of the body were first discovered, and they were kind of mapped out like how they traveled throughout the body. Also crucial to the development were Dr. George Goodhart, who was the founder of applied kinesiology, and Dr. Roger Callahan, the founder of thought field therapy. Now, Dr. Roger Callahan trained Gary Craig, and it was in the early 1990s that Callahan trained Gary Craig, and then Gary Craig kind of refined thought field therapy, which is a bit more complicated, and Gary Craig developed these 12 points. I'll teach you 12, maybe 14 points today that you can use. And he made the process sort of universally applicable to all mental, emotional, and physical issues. Gary Craig was a Stanford engineer and an NLP practitioner. Has anybody ever heard of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming? It's another way of just rewiring the brain. So all of these techniques are really about not changing reality outside of us, but changing reality from changing your brain and the way you perceive things so that the world outside of you begins to look differently. Yeah. It's much more effective that way. So the discovery statement is that the cause of all negative emotions is actually a disruption in the body's energy system. Not really what we thought it was. So here's one of my favorite parts of this explanation. You have a thought or a memory, and that triggers a disruption in your energy system, and that's experienced for you as physical, emotional, or psychological pain, discomfort. Yeah? So if you go back and think about standing in front of a crowd, or you had a memory when that was really uncomfortable for you, let's say in school, you had a teacher that made you feel really uncomfortable in front of the classroom, and now you have a fear of public speaking, they're probably connected. So every time you go back and think about that time that teacher embarrassed you, it causes a disruption in your energy system, and then that is experienced in your physical body as nervous or anxious. So what we're going to do is have you think the thought or think about the problem, think about that memory, and then calm your energy system down. So what happens is you never actually experience the physical or emotional pain or discomfort. It's like a domino effect. If you can imagine, these are 3 dominoes. You have the thought or the memory, and then the next domino is the disruption in the energy system, and then the next domino is the nervous feeling, the anxious feeling, the angry feeling. If I take that middle domino out, what happens? You have the thought or the memory, but you don't have the negative emotion because I've taken out that middle domino, which is the disruption in the energy system. Yeah? Anything can cause that disruption, an accident or a trauma, specific emotional incidents, social or parental conditioning, or subconscious beliefs, what we were taught and trained growing up, past life experiences, genetics, or just patterns of negative thoughts and beliefs that we have. Psychological reversal is something that is really important to EFT, and we'll say a setup statement when we do EFT, like a beginning part before we start tapping, so that if there's part of your subconscious mind that doesn't want to get rid of the problem, then the setup statement can help eliminate that. So has anybody ever met somebody who says they really want to get better, but no matter what they try, they never get better? Yeah. And we're like, why is that? Why is that? Because there's part of their subconscious mind, it's not who they are, they're just part of their deeper limiting belief system that doesn't believe it's possible for them, or there's a benefit that they're getting out of holding on to the problem. Or maybe something negative would happen if they got rid of the problem. And that's why they hang on to it. It's just the way the mind works. It believes it's really important, and that's the way it has to be. So sometimes it's hard for the mind to let go of the problem. So that's why we often add in what's called a setup statement. So it kind of sometimes it's that self-sabotage in the attempt to get better. That's what psychological reversal is. I'll call it PR from this point forward. It's present in about 40% of most issues, but about 90% of chronic health conditions and addictions, as well as depression. It can be treated quickly and simply though, and will return unless the underlying cause is treated. So EFT works great for food cravings. It works great for craving a cigarette. It works great for craving alcohol if you're trying to get rid of cravings for those kind of things. But if we don't address the underlying issue, then the cravings will come back. So my job as an EFT therapist is really to help you find the underlying issue that it might be connected to, which more often than not is feelings of deprivation. If it's something if it's usually a food addiction or something that you can't get rid of, it's usually not feeling satisfied at some level, at a deeper level. And it's important to go back and do EFT on that issue in order to help yourself be free. Some of the beliefs causing psychological reversal include issues of deservingness, safety, motivation, permission, and the benefits of not getting over the issue. We usually don't like to get this deep, do we? We're very quiet. PR correction is built into the EFT protocol by pressing on the sore spot, which is a lymphatic drainage point in your body. I'm going to show you that in a minute, or tapping the karate chop point. The apex effect is actually when someone has a profound cognitive shift that we were talking about. Remember the angry example I gave you? Where they can no longer identify with their previous issue. So, and sometimes people shift from anger to another emotion. And I'll ask them to scale their anger on a scale of 1 to 10, and they're like, oh no, I'm not angry about it. I'm really hurt by it. Right? So then we tap on the hurt feeling, because there's a lot of layers to it. Again, that's why it's usually not just a 1-hour workshop. Okay, subjective units of discomfort. Before we do this, I'm going to ask you to scale on a scale of 1 to 10. How uncomfortable do you feel when you think about that problem? So on a scale of 1 to 10, if I got you to think about coming up here and grabbing this mic and talking to all these people, how nervous does that make you? So, and for some of you, it's like, yeah, it's a 1. I can probably do it. It's not a big deal. Other people are like, there's no way I'm getting off my chair, Carol. You could not make me get up in front of those people. So on a scale of 1 to 10, before you apply EFT, the most important thing you can do is get yourself as close to that 10 as possible so that you can really feel the effects of the difference. Yes? Because I want you to fire that neural pathway in your brain. I want you to fire that part of your brain so that the energy system really becomes disrupted, because that's how you can really heal from it. And it usually requires, for some people it requires 1 or 2 rounds, for some people it requires 10, for some people there's a lot of layers to it. It just depends on how complicated the problem or the issue is. If you're feeling nervous or anxious or you're frustrated or sometimes I'm tapping in my car, I'm late going to work, and I'm like, even though I feel anxious about being late for work, I can accept myself and let that feeling go. And then I tap on the acupuncture points, and then I think, well, you know what? The yoga class can't start until I get there anyway, so. I get to feel relaxed in the process. Because right, we always have that hurried feeling sometimes, if we're rushing or we're late. That's another really good thing that you can use EFT for. So it can be used for fears, phobias, anxiety, guilt, anger, grief, sadness, addictions, compulsions, including weight loss, emotional, physical, sexual abuse, post-traumatic stress disorder, headaches and migraines, sports performance, so increasing range of motion for someone who's an athlete, allergies and sensitivities, self-image and confidence, success and abundance, and limiting beliefs that surround that, and chronic illnesses as well, like chronic fatigue and arthritis. I should put in brackets and anything else. I encourage people to try everything and anything. Lots of different people were using EFT. There's probably, honestly, in St. Catharines right now, or the Niagara region, there's about at least 5 or maybe 10 EFT practitioners that I know of that are certified either by Gary Craig or other qualified EFT therapists that are out there that are doing some awesome work. But I'd like to get into the Niagara health system as well as lots of other places. One tap at a time, right? And use it on children. So if any of you have kids at home that are really distressed or upset, instead of having them not being able to process that emotion, you can use EFT on it whenever they're experiencing something that's very upsetting for them, so that it doesn't get lodged and stored in the subconscious or stored in their energy system.
What about an autistic child?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, of course you can. EFT does not remove common sense caution. This is the other really great part about EFT. If you have a fear of heights and we do EFT on it, you're not going to go jump off a building. And also, if you have a fear of public speaking, it doesn't mean you're going to come up here and make a fool of yourself. It just means that you doesn't remove any normal feelings that you would have. It takes away that excess. If anybody has excess of fear or excess anxiety, then that's what it gets rid of. It does not clear addiction by removing the cravings. You have to clear the underlying emotions for long-term results. That's a lot more layers, a lot more tapping. Does not negate the lessons, reason, or truth of someone's experience. Their memory will stay the same. It just provides you with the space and permission to honestly perceive it differently. Does not replace or correct medical supervision. Bracket, this is my disclaimer. End bracket. EFT basics, the setup phrase, an acknowledgement of the problem and an acceptance of self. So the first thing that we do is say, even though I have this problem, and the reason the problem is underlined is because you're going to fill that in with whatever it is you're feeling. Anger, stress, grief, worry, craving for whatever. I deeply, completely love and accept myself anyway. If you're not okay with saying that, I'm okay with that. If you'd rather say, I'm open to accepting myself at some point, because most of us are withholding acceptance from ourselves, right? We're withholding, when I lose that weight, then I'll accept myself. When I get that job, then I'll accept myself. When I finish school, then I'll accept myself. Just give me a show of hands of anybody who might think that, how do you think that way? Why do we think that way? And what happens? 10 years go by, 20 years go by, and we still don't accept ourselves. So this is an acknowledgement of just accepting ourselves where we are right now. Then we use a reminder phrase, and that helps us to stay focused on the issue being treated, which would be this problem. And here's the tapping points. We're going to do a round together, and it's going to be a general round on this problem. And has anybody done EFT before? I should mark that. Nice. 1. Okay. 1 out of 100. Okay, so put your papers down. I'm going to say what it is that you need to say, and then you can all repeat it back to me. If at any point you do not feel like participating, I'm okay with that. Just give the space and permission for others besides who do want to participate to do that. So we're going to start with your sore spot. You can use the sore spot or the karate chop point on the side of your hand to do your setup statement. So the first option is to come to the crook of your collarbone, where your two collarbones meet. Kind of where a man would normally knock his spine. You're going to come down about 3 inches from there. And then you're going to come across to your right side or your left side. It's totally fine no matter which way you go. I'm right-handed, and I usually take my right hand to my right side. But you can take left hand to left side or vice versa, whatever you want to do. Now as you press, this is a lymphatic drainage point in your body. Your lymphatic system is the part of your body that gets rid of bacteria and other negative things that shouldn't be in your body. So you know how when you get sick, you get this swollen glands? Those are just your lymph nodes that are really working hard to get the bacteria out of your body. You actually have lymph nodes right here in your chest as well. So as you press in a circle, it should actually feel a little sore or just uncomfortable. We call it the sore spot for that reason. Don't hurt yourself. just see if you can feel that sensation. And I'm going to set a phrase with you, and we're going to just do a general problem first. So if you want to think of a problem in your mind, like if everybody wants to focus on how anxious they would feel about getting up here and grabbing this mic, because I'm going to hope one of you can do that by the end of the session. Just tune into that anxiety. See if you can feel that nervous or anxious feeling about getting up here, if that's what you would be nervous about. Okay. And you repeat after me, even though I have this problem, I'm going to accept myself. Even though I have this problem, I can accept myself. Of course, one more time. Even though I have this problem, I can accept myself. Now your first tapping point with 2 fingers is the beginning part of your eyebrow. Again, don't hurt yourself, but you should be able to feel that. We're just pressing this, we're just tapping this time instead of pressing in a circle. And then we would say this problem. I can't hear you.
This problem.
Outside of the eye, this problem. So it's right here, the other side of the eye. You got it. And then under the eye, this problem. And then under the nose, this problem. And then your chin point, this problem. The next point is your collarbone point, and it's a little different than your sore spot. It's about 1 inch below your collarbone. So your sore spot was here, the collarbone point is just 1 inch below your collarbone. And stay focused on this problem. Sometimes people yawn or take a deep breath in the middle of it, and that's okay, that's perfectly normal. I don't get offended when people yawn, I get excited. And then come about 4 inches underneath your armpit on the sides, between your 11th and 12th grade. That's your next acupuncture point. I use 4 fingers for that point just to make sure you cover the area. We say this problem. Well, this next part's going to be really hard to do holding a mic. The next part. Next part is the side of your thumb. So I want you to take the side of your thumb right by the nail bed. So right on the side of the thumb, or just close to the tip, and you're going to tap there and say this problem. The next point is your finger, your first finger, same spot. This problem. Middle finger, this problem. We skip the ring finger, I'll tell you why in a minute. Pinky finger, this problem. You won't explode or anything if you do tap the ring finger. That's the good news. And then karate chop point, this problem. If you want to, you can do both karate chop points together, because you could do your right hand or your left hand. This is the first part of your tapping procedure. Take a deep full breath in, out. Good. We're going to do a middle part. Does anybody feel more calm yet? I'm going to teach you the gamut point. So there's 3 parts. I want you to imagine a sandwich. That round of tapping we just did is like the first part of the bread. The middle part is called the gamut point procedure. And again, it'll be even weirder. So we're actually going to do some eye movements, and we're going to hum and count and hum. And I'll tell you why, so I can maybe start to convince you why you're doing it. The reason that we move, you're going to move your eyes down hard to the right, down hard to the left, and a big circle, and then the other way. And the reason that we do that is because when you look down hard to the right, you're firing the left side of your brain. When you look to the left, you're actually firing the right side of the brain. So the right side of your brain actually is responsible for creative things, so music and art and all those other exciting things. So if you ever want to know if somebody's lying to you, when they're lying, they probably look to their left to fire the right side of the brain because they're doing something creative. They're coming up with a lie. Yeah, so it's great having all these little tools and techniques. So the reason that we move right brain, right brain, left brain, I want you to fire both sides of your brain, because what happens is the nervous and anxious feeling that you're feeling is probably coming from a part of your subconscious brain called your amygdala. It's a really big word, and you don't need to know it for this process. But when I relax the brain by firing right brain and left brain, the emotion can be processed from the amygdala to frontal lobe. But I've got to get you to get the conscious mind out of the way first. So that's why we do right brain, left brain, right brain, left brain. We're going to hum and count and hum, because humming is your right brain. Counting, from doing mathematical things, is left brain. And then we're going to go back to your right brain by humming again. Can I convince you all to do that with me?
Yeah.
Okay. While we're doing this, we're also tapping one of the other acupuncture points, which is on the back of your hand. Now, it's the same acupuncture point as your ring finger. That's why we skipped the ring finger, because you'd actually be tapping it twice. Okay, so you're actually going to come to the back of your hand, between the ring finger and the pinky finger knuckle. Back of the hand, between the ring finger and the pinky finger knuckle, and you're going to tap there. Now you're going to find a spot looking ahead of you, maybe the person in front of you with the back of their head. Good. And you're going to close your eyes. And then you're going to open your eyes, look down hard to the right, look down hard to the left. Don't move your head, just your eyes. Now make the biggest circle you can find with your eyes. Good, now move the opposite direction. Good, and then we're going to hum Happy Birthday together for like 3 seconds. Ready? Stop and count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go back to the song. Now we finished the round, release that, back to the inner part of the eyebrow, this problem. Outside, good, outside the eye, this problem. Under the eye, this problem. Under the nose, this problem. The chin, this problem. Collarbone point, this problem. Your next acupuncture point is under the arm, this problem. You got it, side of the thumb. This problem. First finger, this problem. Middle finger, this problem. Pinky finger, this problem. Karate chop points together, this problem. Take a deep full breath in. Deep full breath out. And then release. So if you were staying focused, whenever you said the word problem, if you were thinking about coming up here on stage and grabbing this mic, I want you to go back to that thought, or go back to your problem. Now, we should have done is scaled it on a scale of 1 to 10. If you did give it a number, did anybody do that?
I think 4.
4. What was it before you started?
It was about a 5.
It's about 5.
I'm not bad at public speaking. It's because my voice is so deep that it's hard
Yeah.
to go up and.
So it's like a 4 now.
Yeah.
Good. Do you want to see if we can get that a little lower? Maybe. What were you at when you started?
10,
You were at a 10, and now you're
8,
an 8. Okay, so let's focus on, like, is it a nervous feeling? How would you describe the feeling? Hate talking in front of people. What would you describe? Is it nervous or is it anxious? What's the emotion? Good.
I'm just a little nervous about it.
Just nervous. So let's stay tuned in. Just how many people would feel nervous about getting up here and grabbing this mic? Good. Maybe about half. Okay. Now, if you don't feel nervous about getting up here and grabbing this mic, think about something else that makes you nervous, anxious, fearful, angry, sad, fill in the blank. Does anybody not have anything they want to work on? If you don't have anything you want to work on, then you're in the wrong workshop. Can you tell me how you got that way? Because I'd love to know. We'll go back to the sore spot, and I'm going to use, just for this example, we're going to use these two people up at the front. We're going to press on the sore spot, and if you want to think of something else other than nervous feeling, then go ahead and do so. Because it works anyway, so it's about what you're tuned into. And then scale it. On a scale of 1 to 10 before we start, how strong is that emotion for you? 10 being like, that's really intense, Carol. 0 being, it doesn't bother me. If it's a 0, the technique's not going to work because you're already at a 0. Okay. Even though I feel really nervous, because Carol might make me get up there and grab that microphone, I can accept myself anyway, fully and completely. Even though I have this nervous feeling, I hate public speaking. I can accept myself anyway, fully and completely. One more time, even though I feel nervous, you cannot make me get up there and grab that mic. No way. Regardless, I can love and accept myself. Fully and completely. Good. Inner part of the eyebrow, this nervous feeling. Outside the eye, this nervous feeling. Under the eye, I do not want to get up there. Under the nose, this nervous feeling. The chin point, I do not want to get up there. Collarbone point, you can't make me. Under the arm, this nervous feeling. Side of the thumb, this nervous feeling. First finger, this nervous feeling. Middle finger, I hate public speaking. Pinky finger, you can't make me get up there. Karate chop point, this nervous feeling. Gorgeous. Back of the hand, we'll do that crazy eye roll and the point procedure. Okay, tap in the back of your hand. And you're going to look forward, close your eyes, open your eyes. Look down hard to the right, down hard to the left. Biggest circle you can find with the eyes, and then the other direction. Good. Happy birthday together. Count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inner part of the eyebrow, this nervous feeling. Outside the eye, nervous about speaking. Under the eye, nervous about speaking. Under the nose, nervous about speaking. And then the chin point, I'm not getting up there. Collarbone point, she can do it. I'm not doing it. No way. Under the arm, this nervous feeling. Side of the thumb, this nervous feeling. First finger, this nervous feeling. It's going to be right by the tip. Middle finger, this nervous feeling. And then pinky finger, this nervous feeling. Karate chop points together, this nervous feeling. Deep full breath in. And down.
I could feel the energy when I was doing the collarbone go through my body. It was
Yeah.
going up all the way through.
Yeah, some people find that there's a certain point that works for them. There's a certain point that you feel the shift. For you, it's collarbone. Actually, fear and anxiety, the fear and anxiety point, this is like way further on in the presentation, is under the eye. So if it's specific fear and anxiety, you can hear, or once you find what's called your point, my favorite point is the karate chop on my left hand. I have no idea why, but that's fine. It is what it is. Everybody's different. So when you find your favorite point, and sometimes like when you're just feeling, you can press and hold if you'd rather, that's okay too. But whenever you're feeling that nervous feeling, then you can just press and hold or just tap that one point if that's your trigger point, so-called. So what do you think about getting up here and grabbing this mic? Give me a scale of 1 to 10, how nervous that makes you feel. 0. Give me a number.
8.
You're still 8. So what happens if his number isn't moving, I modified a little bit for him. The next question I would ask you is to tell me a little bit more about why it makes you nervous. You're just shy. Yeah. So I would tap, where do you feel nervous in your body? Your stomach. Yeah. So I would say, I would refine it for him and say, even though I have this nervous feeling in my stomach, I can give my body permission to let that go. This nervous feeling in my stomach, this nervous feeling in my stomach. Yeah. It's still a thing. Do you want to I'll show you how to do a remaining round. Because we don't, most of the times, like she's at a 0, she went from like a 5 to a 4 to a 0. Does anybody else have any other examples? Go ahead. 10, 8 to 6. Awesome. Anybody else?
I'm in the middle of 4 days in now, it's pretty swampy.
Oh, good.
And I'm at an 8.
Yeah, just give her a round of applause.
I'm at an 8 for the anxiety that's, what would I do want to come back and forth, right?
Yes. I want to quit, I don't, I want to quit, I don't.
No, I do want to quit,
Yes.
but I cannot.
Cannot quit. Even though I don't think I can quit.
No, I don't.
Yeah, there's so much to do. Again, it's,
I think I can. Because I'm not.
No, I can't.
I'm an 8.
Yes, I can.
I think I can.
And you, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I didn't use the number system, but I felt like when I was dealing with my condition of my head,
Yes?
it was weighing heavy on my chest when I began, and I felt like I sneezed.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of times it's a physical sensation in the body that shifts and changes. That's a very good example. Thank you. Go ahead.
So say if you have children that are athletes and they have to compete in something, would you help them go through the whole process before an event?
Yes, absolutely. If they're nervous about playing, just be like nervous about playing, just nervous. You can tap for them. So a lot of times when I'm working with a client, I would tap for them. As long as I have that rapport in that relationship and they give me permission to do so. Otherwise, I'm just with them and I show them the points and have them tap on themselves. A lot of times if somebody's stuck, then I'll start tapping for them instead of letting them tap on themselves. So that's another. How old are they? 15. Awesome. It'd be great for them. Yeah, go ahead.
For food cravings, what would be a positive thing to say? Because I always have negative things.
Don't want
I don't want to keep gaining, like how do I want to do it to stop gaining weight. Like,
Yeah, we would initially just start with food cravings. So even though I have this craving for
chocolate.
chocolate. Big surprise.
Even though I have this craving for chocolate.
I can accept myself and give my body permission to let that go. This craving for chocolate is, and be specific as you can, because it's probably not just any chocolate, right, ladies? Gentlemen, I don't know if you get all the cravings, but it's like, it's really specific what kind of chocolate that we want, right? Like it's chocolate ice cream by a certain company, or it's whatever. So be as specific as you can. But know that the cravings will come back if there's an underlying belief system that's preventing you from losing the weight anyway. Right. That means we gotta do deeper layers of work. Go ahead.
If that would work, when you're very tired, you have something to concentrate.
Sorry, say again?
When you are very tired and something to concentrate, does that would work?
Yes. Even though I'm really tired and I can't concentrate for the life of me, I can accept myself and give my brain and body permission to concentrate better. Can't concentrate, it feels just so tired, I can't concentrate, feels so tired. Just allows you to stop feeling that way. Yeah.
So it also work on children that have ADHD?
Children with ADHD, there's a lot more layers to it. But we would tap on can't stay focused, because they're usually really hyper, right? And does everybody feel a little calmer than when they've gone here? After doing rounds? Okay. So that's the thing, it helps them to calm and stay focused. Go ahead.
That's a good question. When you're saying I can't concentrate, are you not reaffirming that you can't do something?
That's a really good question. She's asking that, why am I focusing on the negative? Shouldn't I be focusing on the opposite? Has anybody ever watched The Secret or Law of Attraction stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, so most, and I have too, and I am a big follower, but I am a big follower of understanding that principle, that whatever we focus on is what we're bringing into our life. So here's the thing, if it's in your life, has the law of attraction not brought it to you? Right? Okay, so aren't you vibrating at that level? It wouldn't be there in front of you if you weren't at that vibration or at that level. Okay, so if I ignore it and just think the opposite, but you could just redirect your attention, because we don't want to stay focused on something because we keep giving it our attention, and as long as we're giving it our attention, it doesn't go anywhere. But here's the thing, if at some level you feel unworthy, if at some level you're holding on to that anger, or at least your subconscious mind is, at some level if you're holding on to that feeling, what I want you to be able to do is acknowledge it and accept yourself anyway. Now what happens in 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes or half an hour if you need to, that feeling no longer exists. So then you're in a place to attract what it is that you want. Because haven't you ever been in a negative mood or stuck in a negative emotion and said, oh my god, I'm going to be attracting more of this, I got to get out of this, how do I get out of this feeling? And then you go to 10 people and you complain about whatever it is that's making you upset.
They all get into it.
And then they get all into a negative mood, right? So how do you shift? What do you do to shift yourself? EFT is one of the easiest ways to shift yourself. One of the easiest ways. You'll see if I was to do a full session with somebody, which I might get, I'm sorry, what's your name? I might ask Matt to join me in that process. I begin to reinstall positive. So if someone's at a 10, on a scale of 1 to 10, I do stay focused on anxious feeling, anxious feeling, anxious feeling. I've got to acknowledge it, it's there, I'm not going to ignore it. When he gets less than a 5, I would begin to reinstall positive, which is, maybe I can let this anxious feeling go and allow myself to feel calm and relaxed instead. This is the part where you'll go, ah. So, we do reinstall positive, but I need you to I need to acknowledge where you are first and honor that, and then we can switch over to the positive aspects. Yeah?
I heard a speaker a little while ago say, you can't solve a problem while you're in the problem.
While you're in the problem, Jerry Nestor
So
Hicks
that's
or Abraham
why.
Hicks?
Yeah.
Yes, you can't solve a problem if you're still focused on it, but if the problem keeps showing up in your life,
Yeah.
it's because you keep giving it your attention. The
So
reason
then
it keeps showing up in your life is because your brain is wired to see that.
So this gives us a way to get out of the problem
Yes.
and then work on the problem.
They give you, it's called the process of pivoting, if you're into Abraham Hicks stuff. It's like how you get out of focusing on the problem. Because it's like, well, it keeps showing up. How do I not focus on it? I'm going to try to look over here. Oh, it keeps coming at me. I'm trying to ignore it. Does everybody know what I mean? Okay, well, that's because it's who you are. It's part of where your brain and where your subconscious mind is wired. It's part of what you keep perceiving because that's what it is. Do you have an example that you're okay sharing?
Well, it was a motivational thing for promoting your business.
Okay.
And so people who are afraid to go in front of the public or afraid to contact somebody who might be helped by your business. If
Okay.
you're afraid of that, then
So tell that person, don't be afraid of that. Just go do it. And what happens?
they don't do
They
it.
don't do it. Why don't they do it? Because they really have a
Because
genuine fear of it.
they're-
So acknowledge the fear and say, this fear, I don't want to contact that person. I'm so afraid to talk to people. I'm so afraid to talk to people. When you get to the 0, you're like, oh, I can go talk to people. And then you're in law of attraction. Then you're exactly where you want to be. And I haven't found anything in my 10 years of studying the mind-body connection and understanding life and reality and how it unfolds. I've never found anything like EFT that can help me get through and past that in a matter of minutes. I'm going to see if I can get Matt up here. What do you guys think about that? What time is it? Different time?
About 20 minutes.
I have 20 minutes. I can do that. Yeah.
Would this therapy work for severe OCD?
Oh, absolutely. OCD is just a heightened level of anxiety, right? Where there's issues of control. So, let's say the person wants to clean up constantly. I would have them sit in front of a mess and say, oh my God, I gotta clean it up. This anxious feeling, I gotta clean that up. This anxious feeling, I gotta clean that up. Until they can relax. But that's something that might come back once we address the underlying issues of control, which is probably way back in childhood. So I don't want you to keep cutting off, that's the hardest part for beginners, is that they try to tackle big things, where there's a lot of aspects to it. Again, we got to go back to the root of the problem. Ask yourself, what's my earliest memory of this same feeling? This is, I know it's a lot of stuff, especially for. It's a lot of information for a very short session, right? So, let's do a remaining round. I'll show you how the remaining round works. There's a couple of changes because your subconscious mind just heard you do a couple of rounds on the sphere of public speaking or this problem, right? So you can either tune into your problem if you like, or you can join us in the sphere of, can you be specific with the fear? Speaking in front of a group. Okay, come back to your sore spot. If you don't like the sore spot thing, you can tap the karate chop point at this time instead. Even though I do not like speaking in front of groups. I'm not sure why, but I really don't like it. Makes me feel nervous. Makes me feel anxious. But regardless of that, I accept myself anyway. I give my body and mind permission to relax and maybe choose to feel confident instead. The inner part of the eyebrow, this nervous feeling. Outside of the eye, I hate speaking in front of groups. Under the eye, this nervous feeling. Under the nose, I hate speaking in front of groups. And then the chin point, this remaining nervous feeling. And then the collarbone point, this remaining nervous feeling. Under the arm, this remaining nervous feeling. Side of the thumb, remaining nervous feeling. First finger, I still don't like speaking in front of groups. Middle finger, there's still some of that feeling left. Pinky finger, remaining nervous feeling. Right chop point, remaining nervous feeling. Maybe I can begin to let that go. Good, back of the hand. Demo point procedure, we'll close our eyes, open our eyes, look down hard to the right, down hard to the left, biggest circle you can find, and then the other direction. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inner part of the eyebrow, remaining nervous feeling. Outside the eye, what will those people think of me? Under the eye, this remaining nervous feeling. Under the nose, what will those people think of me? Remaining nervous feeling. I don't want to get up there. Remaining nervous feeling. Side of the thumb, I don't want to get up there. First finger, remaining nervous feeling. I don't want to get up there. Pinky finger, remaining nervous feeling. Side of the hand, I don't want to get up there. And the other point that I haven't taught you yet is top of the head. It's crown chakra and yoga. Maybe I can let that feeling go. Maybe I can choose to feel confident instead. Deep full breath in. And out. There's good breathers. Check in with your number. If you had a number, you were already at 0. You still have 8. 7. You guys are 8 to 7. Oh, I'm still shaking. How would you feel if I got you up and pulled your chair up here? If I could tap, could I tap for you? Would that be okay? I just need 2 chairs, that's all. So tap from your chair up and my chair up. I'm going to read it. Let's give a round of applause. Back to the crowd, actually. Then you can all choose to tap along. Sit there, but it's because you don't have to face them. No, it's not even better, even though he doesn't have to face you. What's that? You don't like being stoned of attention. What's your earliest memory of that? Was there ever anything that happened to you? That's okay. How did I get into this? Okay, so feel free to keep tapping or keep tapping on remaining rounds. You can come to your sore spot, you can come to the karate chop point. Even though I still have some of this nervous feeling, I can accept myself. I can allow that feeling to relax. Even though I still have some of this nervous feeling, I can let that feeling go. Let my body and mind relax. One more time. Even though I still have some of this nervous feeling, I can let that feeling go. Let my body and mind relax. Good. Inner part of the eyebrow, this remaining nervous feeling. I don't like being the center of attention. This remaining nervous feeling. Remember to breathe. This remaining nervous feeling. Maybe it's safe to let it go. Maybe I can choose to let it go. Under the arm, this remaining nervous feeling. This remaining nervous feeling. This This remaining nervous feeling. Maybe I can choose to let it go. This remaining nervous feeling. Maybe I can choose to let it go. Gannett point procedure. Close your eyes. Open your eyes. Look down hard to the right, down hard to the left. Biggest circle you can find. Gorge other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inner part of the eyebrow. Still nervous. Don't like being the center of attention. Under the eyes, still nervous. Under the nose, don't like being the center of attention. Chin point, still nervous. Collarbone point, this remaining nervous feeling. Under the arm, don't like being the center of attention. Side of the thumb, remaining nervous feeling. Remaining nervous feeling. Middle finger, remaining nervous feeling. Pinky finger, remaining nervous feeling. Karate chop point, maybe it's safe to let that go. Maybe I can choose to let that go. Don't want to ruin your hair, but... This remaining nervous feeling. Maybe I can let it go. One deep full breath at a time. Give me a number on a scale of 1 to 10. 5.
The lady beside me, she's just upset because she lost her camera up here.
Because she lost her camera?
Yeah, and she's very upset and nervous. She's very
Oh,
stressed.
does she want to? Should we let that go? So with that, I would probably do like 3 or 4 more rounds. I didn't want to do this.
Yes.
8 minutes. Have a seat. You lost your camera. How do you feel about that? Okay, have a seat. So, I'm sure what's your name? Bushra. So Bushra lost her camera, like a camera. Okay. And Bush was a little upset about that. Someone stole it from your purse. So, are we just upset? Do we have another word for that? Sad. So, I need another chair. Can I borrow one? So I'll do a couple more rounds of Bushra, and then I'll be at my table's just across the hall. If anybody wants to ask any more questions, I'm hosting another workshop actually on May 29th, Saturday, May 29th. It's here in St. Catharines at Bodhi Yoga Studio. And if anybody wants to dive into this information a little bit deeper, or you know somebody who would really benefit from coming to that workshop, you can grab one of the flyers on the table across the hall. Bushra, can you sponsor me? Just to make it easy. I'm going to, you tap yourself on top on my side. You tap on you and all that on me, okay? So, give me a scale of 1 to 10 how upset you are that you lost your camera. Someone stole your camera. A number on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being you're 10. So we can all join. You can stay focused on and tune into your own problem, or you can support Bushra, but by feeling how upset you would feel if someone stole your camera. So please choose to go back to maybe frustration about your weight loss, or craving for a cigarette, or whatever it is that you're working on. We'll start together with the source spot when you're ready. Even though. Start with your source spot. Even though I lost my camera. Actually, someone stole it. How awful is that? Bushra can love and accept herself anyway. Even though I lost my camera. Someone stole it right out of my purse. I can love and accept myself anyway. And maybe allow my body to relax. So we're just listening. Bushra and I are going to do this together. You don't have to say anything. Maybe you can just keep tapping on the points as well. Say, so upset. So upset. Someone stole my camera. How could they do that? So upset. Someone stole my camera. Under here. This sad feeling that someone would do that. Can you tell us where you're from? This sad feeling. First finger, this sad feeling. This middle finger, this sad feeling. Pinky finger, this sad feeling. Right trunk point, this sad feeling. Someone stole my camera. Right out of my purse. It's so awful. And then do the back of your hand. Right here. It's really important that we know exactly where the points are. Close your eyes. Open your eyes. Look downward to the right. Downward to the left. Make the biggest circle you can find. Keep tapping if you can. Other direction with the circle. And we'll do happy birthday together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This sad feeling. Someone stole my camera right out of my purse. This sad feeling. How could someone do that? Stole my camera right out of my purse. This sad feeling. Out of my thumb, this sad feeling. Middle, first finger, this sad feeling. Middle finger, someone stole my camera right out of my purse. Pinky finger, this sad feeling. Karate chop point, this sad feeling. Maybe one day I can forgive that person for doing that. Maybe not today, but maybe one day. Take a deep breath in and out. So Bushra was about a 10, she said, when she thought about the fact that someone stole her camera out of her purse. So just say, someone stole my camera out of my purse.
Someone stole a camera out of my purse.
Can you give me a number for that?
8.
And she's an 8. Even though I still feel upset. How many minutes do I have? It might take me a few rounds. 3. We're going to do a modified version of the... So what happens eventually is that we modify the technique and we don't use all the points and we probably skip the gamut point procedure, but for purposes of teaching you today, I want to do the full procedure. So we're going to modify it a little bit. Come to your source spot as you press in the circle. Even though I still feel sad, someone stole my camera out of my purse. I'm so upset about that. Maybe I can let that feeling go. Love and accept myself anyway. Inner part of the eyebrow, this remaining sad feeling. Outside the eye, remaining sad feeling. Under the eye, remaining sad feeling. Under the nose, someone stole my camera. The chin, right out of my purse. Your collarbone point, remaining sad feeling. Under the arm, that someone would do that. And then go right to your karate chop point, this remaining sad feeling. Good. Take a deep full breath in and out. And just think the thought, someone stole my camera out of my purse. And give me a number. 7. So we might have a few more rounds to do, but for the purposes of having 2 minutes left in the workshop, Bushra can come and see me after, and we'll do some more rounds of tapping. Yeah. Thank you. So, I'll give you a couple of websites. I flipped through the other 3 hours of my presentation. And then I get to the end really fast. Here's a list of websites. emofree.com is where I've done all of my training with Gary Craig. He's retiring now. There's a free 85-page manual that you can download on the basics of EFT on that website. You can also download it from my website. You have to write it down because I don't think it's on that sheet that I gave you on your handout, sorry. EMO free, but if you go to my website, you grab a business card, you can also link to his website from mine. davidwork.ca, he's another EFT master in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Virgil area. carollook.com also does some great work. EFT-therapy.com is one of my other favorite websites. I'm in the process of doing a bit more work, so feel free to check out that website and stay tuned in. There's lots of free information, lots of blogs, and lots of examples, lots of manuals, all that good stuff. EFT-therapy.com. Anybody have any other questions? If you have any other questions, we can hold them to the end or come and see me, either at the front or at the table. Yes, thank you.
Before you go,
Before we go.
Carol, I'd like to give you this on behalf of the Lifetime Learning. And thank you so much. I think we all feel calm and we're all going to digest our lunch so much better.
I might not have that extra biscuit. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Enjoy the conference.